Hello, and welcome to Don't Tail This, a sports betting podcast that should have quit while they were ahead. I'm your host, Al Mannarino, and with me is my co-host and the only person that's waiting all day for a Thursday night, Mr. Ben Murchison. Ben, what's going on?
It is accurate. Thursday is going to be exciting because it's my Commanders, my 1-0 Commanders. Sorry, Al, I do get veto power based on our conversation, although based off of our picks on Sunday, I should relinquish it directly back to you. But we'll see. We'll see what we do.
Oh, should we talk about those picks, Mr. Ben? Yeah, we're going to go through our Sunday picks, the 1 p.m. parlay, the 4 p.m. parlay, our Sunday night football pick, and of course, the Monday night football game. We lost 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that
5
4,
actually? Because
Ben?
Friday also.
Yeah, about Friday too. We got to forget about Friday. So
Remember
since
how
we
cool
last
Thursday
spoke,
was?
everyone, Thursday was great.
Thursday was great.
Since we last spoke, yeah, we had one Thursday night, our first parlay of the season, and then we did what we normally do and lose a lot consecutively. So, the name of the podcast is Don't Tail This. We did tell you from the start not to tail us, and this is a great reason why. We did have some picks that if you took them straight, maybe you made some money, but in the long run, probably not.
Yeah, just don't put all 4 together. I think that's the trick. You can just pick and choose.
Unless they're my picks from the 1 p.m.
Unless you're my 1 p.m. picks, in which case you're just screwed all around.
I will say, Ben, let's get into 1 p.m.
Yeah, well, let's talk positive first, real quick. Despite going 1-5 essentially throughout the picks, we are up on the season $160 as an account. Good thing we got that first W, or we'd be in the hole quite a bit right now.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So what was pretty good was Al's selections for the 1 p.m. Sunday bets. What was not very good were mine. If you'll remember correctly, we did take my 2 confident bets in Jonathan Taylor over rushing and Bucky Irving over rushing. Bucky came nowhere close. It was a rough kind of first game for Bucky Irving, just game script, I guess. It just didn't happen. Jonathan Taylor, I thought was going to crush his line. He may have actually been the leading rusher in the NFL week 1, but he did not hit his line because they took him out essentially in the fourth quarter. I think he was maybe slightly banged up, but mostly they were just, winning that game easily. So they pulled him, which was not something that I thought we were going to see in a game that featured the Colts offense. We all owe an apology to Daniel Jones, I think. Maybe not you for the years of torture that he put you through, but for everybody else that thought that he was going to be shit. Great first week for him. Not for my bets. I somehow, for the 4 that I had suggested, went 0-4, which is just impressive, honestly. Alvin Kamara,
100%.
I think Alvin Kamara only had 1 reception. Definitely didn't hit his mark. And David Njoku also came up short of his receiving yards marks. I went 0-4, but you know who did really well? Al.
This guy.
4-0. It's 4-0. It's a good thing that you picked your own parlay and made sure that you made that bet, right? So you got some money? Is that what happened?
So you would think as a professional gambler, which I'm not, that I would do that or, take them straight or put them in a parlay. I didn't do anything of the sorts. Those picks were wasted by my own stupidity. Kyler Murray over rushing, Brock Bowers over receiving yards, Kyler Warren over receiving yards, and Geno Smith over rushing yards. Some of those hit in one shot, which was great, but awful for our overarching parlay. Before we get into the 4, the Sunday night and Monday night, do you think you've learned any sort of lesson, and not necessarily I'm never going to trust this guy again?
If I could go back and do them over again, I don't know what I would have dropped out. I thought they were all pretty solid selections. Yeah, I don't know. Week 1 is, I think, maybe the thing that's a little difficult because you're kind of trying to base your projections off of what they did last season, which maybe isn't a good way to look at it. Week 1, they're all trying to do something new. A lot of people have different coordinators, new schemes they're trying out, new quarterbacks, etc. So stuff changes. We'll see what the correlation is from week 1 to week 2, and if I do ultimately learn anything. But if I learned anything, it's that I should have just tailed all of your picks for that Sunday slate for 1 p.m. Yeah.
Definitely. Here's another lesson for you, and it's not even a lesson. It's more of just something I've just noticed in general. These incredibly large, rushing lines for the starting running backs of this team. I want to know, and we should have done this actually last season, how many times those actually hit. So for every moment, Jonathan Taylor, where he was pacing, he was doing great. but they got a big lead. He may have had an injury. He sat out. We lost it by like 8 yards or something crazy. Then you have Derrick Henry, who's like, I'm going to just, whatever your line is, I'm going to murder it.
Yep.
and like we made that
Very distinction. I was like,
right.
there's gonna be a moment where he's just stiff armed somebody into oblivion and is running down the sideline. That
Like
exact
the
same thing
entire
happened.
Bills defense for the first
Yeah.
half of the game, or
Yeah.
like 3 quarters of the game, he was fucking unstoppable. What I've noticed and what I'm trying to do now with my picks in the future is I'm avoiding running backs and they're the starting running back total line. If there's any sort of team that has kind of like dual backs or like a really solid RB2, like your team that we're gonna be talking about in a little bit, I almost wanna, like, focus on them because their line's always gonna be smaller, and if they have the usage, especially if it's a blowout, then they're gonna get more carries and potentially hit those yards. So, what I've learned from your pick, especially from that 1 PM slate, is, like, you went with Bucky and you went with JT, and I think any other day, it's like, yeah, they have to hit those lines, right? But, like, it's still a ton of yards.
I mean, ish. I don't know. Bucky was only in the 60s. I feel like that should have been a smash play, but
But he's very much a dual like a dual weapon. Like we saw last year, his receiving props, even for week 1, were pretty high. And that's kind of why we avoided it because we're like, oh man, this is like pretty tough. I mean, I think I don't think he even hit the number of both together. But
yeah.
someone like Aaron Jones, who again, we'll talk about it in a few seconds, he murdered it in one pass, the receiving line. So like, that's why I
His
always try to
entire
like
offense
stay
was,
to
one
those.
catch. Yeah, yeah. No, I
Yeah,
get
one
that, and
catch.
that is always your strategy that you kinda put forward is you like to do ones that can get knocked out in one play versus somebody that needs, like, prolonged success throughout the course of a game. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
totally
it's like
makes sense.
their other job, like whatever their other job is.
Sure.
Geno Smith. I'm like, oh, he passes the ball like a lot. What's his run? What's his rushing?
The quarterback rushing props were somewhat successful. We hit some, missed some, but yeah, no,
Yeah,
I mean, totally get that. I mean, it's obviously nothing's going to be 100% foolproof because as we'll go through some of our
never.
picks, there's a few of those other marks where it's like, oh, well, that's his other job, and he still failed at that one too. That we'll get to, but yeah, 1 p.m. Obviously, I'm going to put my hand up. That one's on me. Those were two. Two losses that we counted, and obviously all 4 picks. None of mine would have been good, so we should have just gone 100% with yours. Moving into the 4 p.m. slate, we also obviously fell short, and we actually only got 1 pick right. It was Ricky Pearsall, which was one of mine. He's a guy that I'm very high on. I love Ricky. He crushed his line.
Mhm.
I think he's going to be great all year. We got him like at a pretty low number for that game, but obviously it's going to just kind of go up from there, unless obviously Brock Purdy is going to miss time, which maybe it could be. Everybody on that team's injured, but yeah, if he misses time and then we're stuck with Mac Jones, I guess, throwing the ball, then I don't know. Although he did, what was it, Mac Jones like targeted Brian Thomas Jr. like 1,000 times a game because it was just like, you're my best player. I'm just gonna keep throwing the
Yeah.
ball to you. So who
Well,
knows?
isn't that Shanahan offense like built as like a plug and play kind of like if you're like a white like run in the mill quarterback, you just as long as you throw the ball, you're
You can
good.
have some success. I mean, maybe. I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
But outside of Ricky, we went with Jamison Williams. We both were on Jamison Williams, and
Big disappointment that whole
I mean,
game.
the
That whole
Detroit
game
Lions offense was a disappointment.
awful. And we were
Yeah,
saying before, JMO is in one of our futures, I think, our
yeah,
future parlays.
1,000-yard receiver, I think.
I'm not worried, but I'm, like, a little worried because like, everyone's like, they're losing Ben Johnson, they're using whatever Aaron Glenn, whatever. Fuck.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say. Like, that was really bad. It looked like they didn't know that they had a game that day.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see how good the Packers defense is. I mean, obviously the Commanders are about to play them in a couple days, so yeah,
Are you
if they
scared? Are you Parsons?
I mean, Parsons they're used to playing, and Parsons is still kind of on a pitch count a little bit, so I'm not overly scared by him specifically, but their pass rush
Mhm.
did seem like it was doing a pretty good job, and their corners are solid. I mean, they shut down Detroit's offense, so we'll see if that was more week one, who knows, or, Detroit's actually bad, but I do think, obviously, Jaden Daniels, we'll get into it, but like his ability to scramble and create outside the pocket gives him a leg up from,
Mhm.
Jared Goff when he gets under pressure, so.
I wouldn't
And
say it was
then
the best Commanders game, though. I mean, we can get into this because we kinda skipped over it. 1 PM, our teams played against each other,
yeah,
and
that's
when
a
I say
dumb
our
thing.
teams played,
We took no lines from like the game teams that we watch every
I'm
single
so
week.
glad I didn't take any Giants line. The one Giants line I took, I couldn't find on a lot of books.
We
It
Scatterboo.
was it was Scadaboo. It was Scadaboo receiving, and his line was like 4.5, and I think he had like 16 in a game where I think Russell Wilson fell asleep or
Yeah.
got put into a coma from getting hit so much. He sucked.
Yeah,
And
Scatterboo had
I
2
I don't think the
highlights.
Commanders were that good because I think if the Giants are that bad, they should have probably put like 40 on. I still think our defense is gonna be a problem for people,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. The
but our
pass rush
offense
was
is not
there.
great
Like,
right now.
Jaden was under pressure a lot, from the
Oh,
pass
yeah.
rush, and he missed, like, a couple of deep throws, like, one, Terry was wide open, that should have been 6. I think that's like a, you sat out the whole offseason timing type issue, and there was a little pressure in his
Mhm.
face, so he sailed it a bit. There was a couple missed throws here and there. I think it's more it's that week 1, nobody looks extremely sharp, for the most part, unless you're like the Ravens or the Bills, but, or the
Or
Colts.
Justin Fields or Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I guess. A couple teams look pretty
Fucking
sharp.
what a
Teams you wouldn't
weird
expect.
what a weird week. I was so excited about the Giants, and then the Steelers and Jets game ended up being one of the best games of the week.
Mhm.
It's stupid.
But yeah, we'll talk more Commanders as we look at Thursday. But just to finish recapping, 4 p.m. picks. We were also both on Bo Nix over his rushing. I think that's one of the only quarterback rushing lines that didn't come close. So Nix just didn't take off, barely at all.
The
Missed that
Broncos didn't
one.
take off.
Yeah, I mean the Broncos again, like a team that kind of fell short of expectations. Yeah, and then Tyler Higbee was our other line. Do you want to speak on Higbee and your thoughts towards Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Rams was those Rams Texans, right?
Yeah.
And I still, they won. They I mean, Puka was super active. I think he had like he got like attacked at one point, like was all bloodied up and
Oh
still
yeah.
came back in. I mean, it's very much like a one receiver sort of offense going on there. I mean, we'll have to see more from them. I know, I was joking about Stafford having a bad back and all that kind of stuff, but it just seems like all he cares about is Puka, and that's kind of the reason why they just like let Cooper Cup walk outside of his productivity being way down from his Super Bowl run, and he didn't do much on Seattle this week either. I'm glad we kind of stayed away from that. So yeah, I mean, with Higby, I still think I'm a big tight end guy. I like my tight end props usually because the line is relatively low comparatively to like these wide receiver ones, and he's gonna face a matchup where he's not the deep ball is gonna be or Puka specifically is gonna be ineffective. So I still think Higby has some value. I don't think he makes the no list. He was a very strong candidate though.
Yeah, no targets is like the alarming piece of that one. It's just no targets at all. So yeah, we only had one was Ricky. Like our other picks, Tyler Lockett. You should just stay away from Tyler's because Tyler Lockett also came up short of his.
Yeah, maybe the
Yeah,
Tyler no
Tyler might
list.
be the problem. Brock Purdy rushing did hit, so that would have been a good one to actually throw in there. And then Jaden Higgins was my other suggestion, and he hit easily. He had a big game for them. I think did he actually? He might have out. Yeah, he was the number one receiver. Higgins had 32 yards. Nico Collins only had 25. So not a big passing day for the Texans in general, but
No,
yeah.
and it's
So
kind of their only thing too because
yeah,
the run game is there's
considering
no
Joe
Mixon.
Mixon's on IR, yeah, you got Nick
Yeah, and they're
Chubb out
using
there.
the ghost of Nick Chubb. So
Yeah, so bad slate for us at 4 p.m. obviously, and then we had some high hopes going into Sunday, and rightfully so because we were pretty sharp with the things that we were talking about. We hit 3 out of 4. We'll talk a little bit about how we got ghost leg failed, but Josh Allen got his anytime touchdown. Derrick Henry, obviously, we talked about it. We were both on him, and he crushed his rushing line like probably the first quarter. It was like halftime. He was easily over that. Lamar Jackson also crushed his rushing line. You hit Khalil Shakir for his yards receiving. You also hit DeAndre Hopkins, who had like one insane like OBJ grab in the end zone. You did pivot off him to Justice Hill, who did not, but still like props for throwing Hopkins out there as an option. James Cook did not hit his rushing line, so we didn't go with that one, but that was one of my suggestions. The other one we had talked, or I will talk about this guy, another hand up. I thought that they would do everything within their power to make Mark Andrews a part of the offense in this first game. Definitely did not. Like, they did not target him around the end zone. They didn't target him barely at all. I think he had one catch for like 6, 7 yards, something like that. It was really sad. There was opportunities that they kept getting in the red zone. I thought like, well, there's still a chance they could throw it to him here. Just didn't happen. So it's weird. Like without Isaiah Likely out there, they still pretty much were just using him as like a blocker to support their run game and throwing downfield to other receivers, mostly named Zay Flowers. So that was sad to see. That's the one leg we didn't hit. And the thing that we will not mess up again, for whatever reason, DraftKings liked Al more than myself, so it was offering him a $20 ghost leg. But for me, it was only giving me 10. And, we like our units to be 20 collectively, so we just didn't pick that game with a ghost leg, which obviously we hit 3 out of 4 and it would have paid out. So to curb that moving forward, because it still is only offering me 10, we're just going to double down on the bet. So we'll take the ghost leg, so at least we get paid out for a part of it if, we want to go with one of those, which we'll probably do on something like a Thursday night game or like Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. We were really close on Sunday. That was kinda like Friday. We were close on Friday. I think we came up one leg short. Same thing for Sunday. And then Monday Night Football was just like a drag to watch.
Can I say one more thing about Sunday Night Football?
You may.
Thank you. So real quick, the one thing I want to mention is I think Josh Allen's good at football, and not just from his legs,
That's astute. That's
his
very astute.
hey, thank you, his arm too. And I was very high on Shakir. I pleaded my case. We didn't end up going with him. He did hit his over, but not only that, man, Keon Coleman is electric. Dude was catching everything. And then he wore like a 30-pound like Jesus chain in his like post-game interview, like around his neck. And I'm like, all right, this guy's divine. Like this guy's got it.
So you're saying
So
you're putting him in next week. You're putting
I
him on Sunday.
believe so. I want to see what his line is because I want to know if they're gonna put it higher or like as high as Shakir. You know when like like a wide receiver two has like a big game and like the next week DraftKings is like, oh yeah, we know you're gonna be betting on him, so we're gonna make him like almost even to the wide receiver one. Like they used to do that with Higgins when he would have an explosive game or whatever. So I just want to keep an eye on Coleman and Josh Palmer too. I feel like he's like a sneaky, like, obviously he's their wide receiver three. They took him from the Chargers because he's also, he can be pretty explosive. And I watched the whole Hard Knocks thing and like he looked great in training camp. So definitely want to keep an eye on his line as well moving forward because especially when they play harder defenses, if Coleman shut down, if Shakir shut down, like I think the rock is going to go to him.
Well, they
So
got the
just wanted to
Jets.
talk.
They got the Jets coming up, so you should probably smash Keon Coleman.
I think Keon Coleman and Shakir will be pretty smashed
Yeah.
against the Jets.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Monday night was just like a kind of a slog for all of our bets. The only one that we hit was ironically like a pivot. So I'm not sure if you originally even were on Aaron Jones receiving or it's because I said rushing and you were like, no, let's do receiving, but one way or the other.
No, that was mine.
Okay,
That was my
cool.
pick.
So we both had Aaron Jones, but I took rushing, you took receiving. He literally had like the whole line got hit on the one catch for a touchdown at the end zone. Outside of that, like he really didn't do much for that offense. Jordan Mason was taking like more of the carries and was more successful as the runner. So definitely not going to be jumping on Aaron Jones again anytime soon. Well, let me finish up Monday, then I'll pivot back. But other lines we put in, Hawkinson had a couple catches, didn't come close. DJ Moore almost died on the field multiple times with Caleb Williams, like either just overthrowing him or throwing him into traffic. So he did not get his receptions line, which is Al hates reception lines, but he did go with that one with me. That one didn't work out. And then Colston Loveland wasn't very involved either. So, yeah, we only got one of those. Caleb Williams, I will say, did come up under his passing line. So that was one that I threw out there for the under that actually hit. Adam Thielen wasn't very involved in the offense, so that one didn't hit. But ultimately, not a lot of success out of anything that we talked about on Monday Night Football. Any other
It's
closing comments on Monday?
I just the funny thing about Monday was like it was a tale of two halves. That first half, it was like, oh wow, Bears are here. Caleb Williams is legit.
The first
Ben
drive.
Johnson. Ben Johnson
I
is
wanted to issue an apology.
yeah. Ben Johnson is a genius. This the Bears are good again finally. And then on top of that, it was like holy shit, JJ looks terrible. This looks like Kenny Pickett this looks like the worst of the worst possible results that the Vikings could have asked for. And then halftime happens and Caleb was like, how about I suck? And then JJ was like, I'm actually a golden god. And he played lights out. It's like, oh, where's Justin Jefferson? There he is. And like just throwing bombs and making plays. And I was really shocked at that. And the way that JJ literally took one half of his first game to kind of settle in. I'm
Yeah.
actually kind of high on the Vikings right now.
He looked scared, like, in the first half, he looked timid, and then, yeah, second half, he came out, and it was like, after the pick six, I feel like he settled down a lot. Sometimes it takes, like, just just like in golf, if you have, like, a blow-up hole, you're like, "Well, fuck it, what the worst can happen now?" And you start playing better. I think it's like that with a lot
Yeah.
of sports, like, you just kinda get hit in the mouth, and then you figure it out. So, yeah, JJ, yeah, it might be somebody that we keep an eye on. His rushing line would have been great, like, that's another one.
I remember keeping away from because I was looking at it initially and I was like, what does this got to be like? It's his first game. It's going to be like 9, 8.5. And then I think I saw like 16.5 or like 20.5. I don't remember what the original line was, but
Yeah,
it was high enough for me to avoid it. And I like my QB rushing lines.
I
I
think
was like,
some of that might have come from, like, they expect, like, rookie quarterbacks, which essentially he still is, to kinda
yeah,
scramble and take off running sometimes when they, pocket collapses right away instead of keeping their eyes downfield. I will
for
say
sure.
Caleb Williams somehow started off, like, 10 for 10, I think. He was, like, 100% completion percentage, and
It
then
was nuts.
he finished, like, under like 55 or something like that for the game. So it fell apart on him. That first drive though, that like laser that he threw on the sideline, like that was it's like, oh my God, who is this guy? I texted you like I might have to issue an apology to that man, like on the podcast, but
Yeah.
I'm
And then you
saving
didn't
that.
have to,
Didn't have to.
which was
I
good.
want to go back briefly because we talked about a segment or like a, something that we were going to have with the podcast for when a guy just like ultimately screws us over and we want to stay away from them moving forward. It's the never again list. And I am formally nominating, maybe we'll get a drop for this at some point, but we'll definitely post it on our social medias. But nominating Mark Andrews, firmly placing him in that for me. I will not be mentioning his name on any future parlays.
I honestly, I don't think he makes it the rest of the season on the Ravens. I don't see a scenario if he plays like this. This is becomes a pattern, right? And like likely obviously became the guy for them last year, and I am high on Likely, and I think if he comes back and he's healthy, I think you're
Yeah,
right. I think they use Andrews for blocking and Likely for playmaking.
that's kind of the thing. Like, likely is the more exciting, like, target, I think, in receiver, more athletic target at this point. Mark Andrews did start, I mean, it is one game. Andrews started slow last year, and then he ended up, like, in the top, like, 5, I think, of tight ends, like, ultimately because of
Mhm.
touchdowns. So we'll see if they continue to maybe use him in the red zone as the season progresses. But yeah, week 1, just he lost too many parlays, like, outside of just this one for me. Like, I had him in everything, literally. So just a bad taste in
Yeah.
my mouth. So yeah, never again list for Mr. Mark Andrews. That's it. Like we lamented on, I mean, we had the brief fleeting of success. Let's try to hold on to how great Thursday was last week, and then let's look ahead to this Thursday.
Maybe we could only win on Thursdays.
Last year when we started this account, nobody was like following us then, obviously, but yeah, Mondays we only won on Monday Night Football. We sucked until then, and then we'd hit like every Monday. So maybe Thursday is our
Yeah,
new Monday.
maybe. Let's find out.
Let's
Who do you got
find
for your
out.
first pick?
Oh man, so this is my team. So you notice I'm going to be pretty commander heavy here, but
No
one
way.
thing when we first like just casually started talking about like Thursday night football coming up, the first thing I said was like Jaden Daniels over rushing no matter what the line is. His line is over 44 and a half yards. He had 68 yards rushing against the Giants. He went over the 44 and a half line 11 times last year. The Packers pass rush is similar, I think, to the Giants, and that they'll be bringing a lot of heat towards him, so he's going to get out of the pocket a lot and kind of take off. So I feel like it's something where he'll get over that line fairly easily. Anything that's below like 60 for me, I think, for Jane Daniels is going to be like an instant smash.
Not even gonna fight you on that one. I totally agree. I think how many games last year did he not have a great rushing performance? Like
Was
you don't have to go into the details, but I'm sure you remember because you're a psychopath.
Yeah, and I mean, there were a couple, but, like, so I threw out, like, 11 games counting the playoffs, he went over 44 and a half. There was a lot of games inside of that he was, in the 30s, like, 40s. There were very few games that, like, he just didn't run at all. Like, it's part of what
Mhm.
makes him great, like, when he gets out of the pocket and he, scrambles and runs and creates first downs, and they have, like, some design runs for him too, so
Yeah. I mean, and he also had to do that. I mean, he did that against the Giants, they do have a great pass rush, but I mean, you are going against Parsons. They looked strong. They made Goff and the Lions look like shit. So and Goff can't run for anything.
yeah,
So
that's the
I really
difference.
think he'll have to do it.
Yeah, so that's the difference. I think that's why he will run because that's how they, can compete with that and beat that. I think like having a good pass rush against him only increases the odds that he's going to rush for a lot. Like if they're not getting to him, then he's perfectly content to sit back in the pocket and pick him apart. But he's probably going to have to make some plays with his legs. So, yeah, that's the first line. Jane Daniels over 44 and a half rushing.
Love it. All right. I'm gonna all of these are goddamn rushing props. All right. I'm gonna go with my first one. It's also a commander prop. I like two. Now that you mentioned, I like three because I do like Jade a lot. I'm gonna go with Debo Samuel over 4.5 rushing yards. This slapped last week. 19 yards. They used him a
On one
bunch.
carry.
I was on once. Yeah, but
Yeah.
they used him a bunch, and that was part of it.
Oh yeah, for sure. I also have that in my line, so we can lock that one in. 4.5, I think is low. It's similar to the same way that we view like Xavier Worthy is. He's probably going to get 1 to 2 like design run plays in that
Mhm.
offense to try to give him a chance. And I mean, yeah, Debo. I feel like he had an early carry for whatever reason. It only says he had one, but I feel like he got hit in the backfield on one. Maybe it was like a pass or something. But they tried something similar that they didn't give him credit for. But so he had one official rushing attempt, and it was 19-yard touchdown. And he looked explosive on that play, which I am laughing at, like, how many people were, like, joking on him in the offseason saying it was, like, slow and overweight, like, he definitely isn't. He had a great game.
Yeah, I
So
don't know if that was, like, AI or something with, like, the
I don't know, I mean,
like,
everybody can
his
take a bad picture, like, I can look insanely, fat in the face right now if I want to, so maybe,
I will. I will take a bad picture. The only other thing is because I know we're gonna go back and forth here, how many more Commanders picks do you have?
they're all Commanders picks.
I can't wait. Alright, go pick number 3.
I started to try to
So
go,
don't
like
lock anything in yet because 'cause we're
yeah,
gonna go
yeah.
through all these.
Okay, I'll just go through all mine then. So the other one is also Deebo Samuel, though. So I also have Deebo Samuel going over his receptions line. His reception line
Ooh.
is much like his rushing yards line. It's 4.5 receptions. For some reason, I like that number for Deebo. He had 7 receptions on 10 targets against the Giants. I think all that time that he spent, like, in the offseason and in camp without Terry there, he got a lot of time to go through and work with Jaden. And Jaden's not afraid to just throw to whoever's open and throw to whoever he feels comfortable with, no matter who the number 1 guy is. And I think eventually, like, it'll even out and Terry will get his, it may come in this game, against the Packers too, but I think that he definitely showed that he loves Debo. Anytime you're getting, like, double-digit targets, that's a good sign, and I think only, like, 1 or 2 of those balls weren't maybe catchable balls, so I think 4.5 is still low, so I wanna take advantage of that before it jumps up into being, like, 5, 6.
Yeah, I like it. I like it. I mean, I hate reception picks though, so maybe I don't like it. I like it. I like the theory of it.
Yeah.
Do you like it over his yards?
I'd have to go back and do you have his yards in front of you, if you got DK?
Yeah, his yards are,
I feel like it was maybe in the 60s or 50s.
no, 53 and a half. So him and
53.
Terry they're a yard apart.
Terry's the kind of guy that can get his in like one, pass. They obviously missed him on that deep shot, but very easily could go over his line. So maybe that's something you would bring up because you love those one shotters. But yeah, I think Debo either line could work for him. But I'm more comfortable with the receptions just based off of how often he was targeted in that first game, and I expect that to continue.
Yeah, that's a good pick. Again, I don't know. I know. I'm going with the Packers receiver. I'm going with receiving yards. I'm trying to do the opposite of what I would normally do. So what I would normally do is see, okay, Romeo Dobbs had a great game last week. I'm going to fade him this week. No. I honestly, at 41 and a half yards, he had 68 last week. He was 4 targets, 2 receptions for 68 yards. Jaden Reed was the only one targeted more with 5 targets. He had 3 receptions for 45 yards. I really like Dobbs. When he's healthy, he's really, really good. I thought he was kind of like their wide receiver 1 for a minute, and then Jaden Reed kind of took over last season. But like we already talked about this in earlier episodes. I mean, like these receivers do not stay healthy. I think they have a couple receivers out right now because of that. I was
Yeah.
also looking at Matthew Golden's line, 35 and a half. He had 16 last week, their highest picked wide receiver in like 10 years or something crazy. I was contemplating that. I think just go the opposite of what I would normally go. I think Dobbs is going to go either off again or at least hit this line of 41 and a half.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who matches up against him too, like for the corners, like because neighbors. Well, it's hard to even judge, honestly, like how decent the pass coverage was because I think more of what the Giants had, trouble with was the pass rush. Like Russell was like under pressure like at least half of his time, so he was dropping back. It was insane.
Deer in the headlights.
Yeah, so he was just kind of tossing the ball up. I think Lattimore had a pretty good game for us. Trey Amos is the rookie, so he's going to go through a little bit more of the growing pains. So it depends on who he matches up with, maybe as the guy to target, because I think Mikey Sanchez still is probably somebody they'd stay away from, and Lattimore too. So I'm not sure if it's a way to figure that out ahead of time, but yeah, that matchup might be the key one. If you're like not really high on any of the particular Packers receivers, you're just kind of picking one. But yeah, I do like Dobbs. I mean, Jaden Reed like had the big play. He's kind of playing through injuries as it stands, anyways. So I don't know. Did you have any other Packers lines?
I had one Packers line I want to share with you. It is a receptions one. It's Josh Jacobs
Yeah. Okay.
over 1.5 receptions.
I was gonna say it's 2, isn't it? So yeah, 1.5. So he just needs 2 catches. Did he have catches against the Lions
He
last
had
week?
1 catch, but he was only targeted once.
That's not better. I'd
Yeah.
rather be targeted 5 times with 1 catch. Made me feel
No,
better.
I wouldn't want that because if he's getting targeted 5 times and only gets 1 catch, that means something's wrong.
Well,
Whether
he
it's
can't catch.
whether it's Jordan Love can't throw the ball to the guy 10 feet away from him, or he wasn't doing anything with it, no yards after the catch.
Yeah.
So, or he was dropping it. I feel 1 target, 1 catch. He just needs 1 more. And he was really good
Sure.
last year. in this role as this kind of, dual role back, and I'm a big fan of that. His receiving yards line was not terrible. It was 12.5. He only had 4 last week, but I feel like if he gets 2 catches and he gets 8 yards, we
Yeah.
still hit.
Yeah, I mean, the 2 catches is probably the way to go. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Giants try to dump it down. Like, Scatterbo had, I think, decent, like, catch and run, but then
That
that
was
was
all
pretty
Scatterbo.
much yeah, that was all that I, saw from that, side of things, so I don't know, I feel like the Commanders' linebacker core and defensive line is pretty good. They close well, but, doesn't mean that they won't check it down to, Josh Jacobs occasionally. So, hey, I mean, I have no reason to dispute that as a potential option.
So Tracy was targeted 5 times, got 2 receptions. Scatterbo was 2 for 2. So
Yeah.
that's 7 targets to the running back with
4 catches.
4 catches. Yeah. So Jacobs is the guy. He is their running back.
Yeah.
So that's why that's why I felt the 2 line was good.
Yeah,
So
I was
what's that?
on Josh Jacobs, but I was gonna do the thing where I take his rushing yards again, but I did feel like in this respect, probably maybe I did learn something because I was like, it's
Oh,
just I came up short with Jonathan Taylor and Bucky Irving. Like, he's a bell cow running back, but that might have been more of a product of the Commanders' like defense impressed me a lot against the run last week. So I don't necessarily want to go right back and try to say that a running back's gonna have whatever his line was, which was something like in the 70s, I think. So yeah, that could be tough. Any other
when you
lines you
jump
want
on
to
when you go on DraftKings, do you like hunt down like what's the highest total yards and then bet that?
No, I don't. I don't. I look at the player and then I just determine based off their line, like whether I think that he's going to be able to get there. So that's why I ultimately decided to go against Josh Jacobs this time.
That's
But I am going to obviously, I look at the basic guys first. Like, I'm always going to, Monday Night Football, I want to see what Justin Jefferson's line is. But then, like, I don't know what JJ McCarthy's going to do. So I stay away from that and I pivot to fucking Aaron Jones rushing yards, which was even worse. But yeah, in retrospect, yeah, Jordan Mason would have been a nice selection for rushing yards. So I got one more that's kind of like a bonus one because I've already no, actually I've got 2 more. My bad. So let me go back to the Jaden Daniels well. Over 225.5 yards passing. He had 233 last week against the Giants on just 30 attempts in a game that they were pretty much under control. If they do get behind, which is a possibility against the Packers, or into sort of a shootout with the Packers, there's a chance he could throw the ball more, get more attempts, and obviously like have an easier time getting over that line. He did go over 225 yards passing in 13 games that he played last season, counting the playoffs. So if he's I maybe still like his rushing line more, but I do think that there's a strong possibility that he'll go over for both of those.
I like it. I mean, he was playing against the Giants, who again who have a pretty good pass rush. He was only able to get 233. 5. What did Goff end up having against
Goff was more successful than they were running the football against the Packers. I will say that.
nuts?
Yeah, which
So
is
Goff
insane.
ended up having 225, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why they set the line at 225.
I remember looking at that and I was like, that's kind of funny. Like, Vegas kind of got lazy on that one. Like, we'll just give him the same line we had Goff.
I'm doing the same line. I mean, Jaden slings the ball, dude. He's great. Like, I'm not gonna go on this podcast and shit talk your quarterback because he's really, really good. I can shit talk my quarterback because he's not good, and we have a good quarterback. He's just on the bench,
And
and I think he's much better.
I can't
But
bring up again too, like, if you recall, and I brought it up on the pod already, like there was the deep shot to Terry that would have been like a 60-yard plus touchdown that he just overthrew. If that hits, obviously he's hitting like a 300-yard mark, so he would have blown that line out of the water. Again, in a game where he only had 30 attempts, it could be a game against the Packers where he's throwing the ball, 35, 40 times. So that's kind of where I was
yeah,
leaning.
I like the line. I'm not gonna talk against it. Honestly, it's good. I just again, you're like, what's the biggest fucking number I can find?
I
But
looked at the small guys.
it's good.
The usual suspects for me would have been like the Zach Ertzes and the Austin Eckler's of the world, but I feel like Vegas
Yep.
has gotten onto their lines more, and like they're kind of making them too tight for me to really want to take that. It's kind of just a gamble and a guess at this point. The only other one that I have that is the bonus is Bill. I gotta take Bill, the running back Bill. My only
Dude, that's what
issue,
I
my
have
only
Bill.
issue, like he had
I have
okay,
Bill too.
yeah. So, well, I'll talk to you about why I liked it and then why ultimately said that's not going to be one of my official 4. So the line's
Uh-huh.
42.5. He had 82 yards on just 10 carries last week. 42 of it came on 1 carry, obviously. So he had basically like 40 yards rushing on 9 carries, which is still like at a good pace. The only issue, or the reason that I decided not to ultimately include it, is because the Packers just came off of shutting down Gibbs and Montgomery as a combination. So I don't necessarily love the idea of like now we have Eckler and Bill Krosky merit. Could be a different game script. I don't know. Maybe he gets like a ton of carries and he easily goes over that line. But that was one that I was like excited about. And then I kind of like just looked at what had just happened and I was like, maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna go one or the other, I really do like Bill, and we both have him, which is kind of a sign to stay away from it. I think. I think we go with Jaden, because I guess either way, he's gonna use his legs to win the game, or he's gonna use his legs to run away from Micah Parsons. So that's how I feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I do think Jaden over rushing is probably my strongest line, or the one that I feel the best about. So we should throw that one out. Go with something else. But no, I mean, it makes sense to me that Jaden would go over that rushing line, especially like on a Thursday night football game. Everybody's watching. He's a highlight reel. He's going to make some plays. There's going to be some design runs in there outside of just the stuff that he scrambles for. So yeah, I put Jaden in. I think we both had Debo over his 4.5 rushing yards. So were
Yep.
those
So we'll take his receptions out. Thank God.
okay? So it's like, so we got those two lines. If you want to put a Packer in there, I think we probably should, so we don't go all Commanders. And I couldn't pick a Packer. So if you've got one that you feel best about, Dobbs or
Well, you're gonna blame me in all cases.
not.
You don't want to go 2 Packers. You want to go 3 Commanders because it's your team and you can do whatever you want.
I do get a veto. So I don't know. Tell me what you want for the Packers. Like who would you put in there?
So we both like Jaden. We both like Debo.
Yeah.
What is the third one that you have the most, not even faith in, but like as a Commanders fan, as someone who does pretty good with picking, not winning necessarily, but picking the right props for his team?
Yeah, my problem with the Commanders props is they usually go like 7 or 8 legs instead of just 4, and then I get like 6
Yeah.
of them.
That's why we're not rich, because we don't know how to. We don't know. We're like, yeah, 4 picks is good, but how about 30?
Well, the problem with that is that our units aren't big enough. For $20, we're not going to be millionaires betting like 4 legs for $20. I got to do 7 or 8 at a time. Get crazy
sure.
with it. I mean, I like the Debo over receptions, but I also like the Jaden over passing. So I think you like the Jaden over passing more than the Debo. So I'd be down to double up on just making a Jaden Daniels parlay, so over rushing, over passing,
Okay,
in combination with
I will.
Debo rushing.
I'll consider it.
Although
I like the Debo rushing.
we both like Bill initially too. So hands to the air. I'm the one
Well,
that 1 o'clock games I got all 4 wrong, so I'm already feeling bad about it.
I know, but you're backing it up with science in the sense of like, okay, what did the Packers just do
Yep.
to the Lions who had Sonic and Knuckles?
True.
Who someone I saw a tweet said they made Sonic and Knuckles look like ass and cheeks.
Yeah, saw that tweet. You probably sent
So
it to me.
I did.
Yeah.
I think I did send it to you.
So that's why
If you're scared of the run game, like
pass game.
I would say maybe don't triple up on the run.
Yeah.
Right. So we're looking at Debo, we're looking at Jaden, we're looking at Bill.
Yeah.
That's everything we're high on is the thing that we're trying to go against in the sense that.
Well, the
the
Jaden rushing is an entirely separate thing to me because it's not like a running back that they're shutting down. I don't necessarily
Yes.
know that they can stop Jaden the same way that they, were able to stop the run game itself. And Jared Goff
Yeah.
doesn't really give you like anything to kind of compare. He's not going to
Yeah.
scramble.
Totally. Do you well, let's to get things on track and to get things moving. And for some reason, this podcast is approaching 45 minutes. Do you like the Josh Jacobs receptions?
He could double his production from last week. Yes, I think that's very possible. Yeah, I'm okay
Yeah.
with that.
And then if
okay
you
with
had
that.
to go with a receiver who was not a Commander, that you think, okay, well, okay,
Yeah, Dobbs.
let's approach it this way. I like that you just said Dobbs, so it maybe not have to talk more. But I will say is they priced him over Reed because obviously he had more yards than Reed. I would say this is maybe a good spot to go back Reed because he seems like the wide receiver one. I also say maybe this is a chance to buy low on Golden. He's 35.5. He only got 16 last week, but I keep going back to Dobbs thinking like, all right, if he's reliable, if he's healthy, why not go to him and he can make an explosive play potentially. I know it makes you mad. I feel like I feel the anger of like, oh, I have to talk about my competition right now.
True. Very true. I don't know. Dobbs only had 2 catches for 68 yards last week. Reed had 3. Like, yeah, they just spread the ball around so much. That's the reason I didn't go on or do any research whatsoever with the Packers wide receiver core because it just kind of freaked me out a little bit.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I'm gonna still go with my gut. I'm gonna go Dobbs, and we're gonna parlay that together with Jaden Daniels, over 44.5 rushing yards. Deebo Samuel, over 4.5 rushing yards. Romeo Doubs, over 41.5 receiving yards. And Josh Jacobs, over 1.5 receptions. This is a super duper low parlay for us, surprisingly. It is plus 1,000. So that would be 20 to win 200.
It's probably a good sign. Lower is better.
220.
For us right
to
now.
win 220, obviously.
For some guys that just came off of losing 5 straight bets, we probably need one that has a little bit more gettable odds.
How confident do you feel about this? After losing 4 in a row, the confidence meter is pretty low.
We lost 5 in a row. Just don't forget
5
that.
in a row. I keep saying 4. It's 5 because Friday game
Friday
did
counted.
not exist.
Friday counted. Yeah. I'm okay with doubling down on this one because what's our Sunday night game? I don't know if I feel better about the lines for that one. It's always weird when it's your team. Like I know the most obviously about the Commanders and like what their offense is going to look like and what they want to do.
Our 4 picks are in. We're going to be posting this today. If you're listening to this today, Wednesday, it will be available starting Wednesday, September 10th for the Thursday game, September 10th. And yeah, Daniels, Samuel, Dobbs, and Jacobs. It's a weird law firm, but they're going to win this parlay for us, plus 1,000 parlay. I'd like to thank Ben for recording this late on a Tuesday night, and thank all of you for listening. So excited. Football's back. We don't sound it because we're tired. I had
tired of losing,
work.
Al. Tired of losing. Sick and tired of being a nobody. Sick and tired of having nobody.
It's literally the start of week 2 and we're already sad. And we're still up, which is nice. So it's a new week. We're very excited. You can follow us at Don't Tail This on Twitter and Instagram for all of our parlays, starting with Thursday night football, going into Sunday, 1 p.m., 4 p.m., and Sunday night, and then Monday night. That new episode with all of those picks will be available on Saturday on your favorite podcasting platforms. So make sure you're following the show or subscribed. You can email us, don'ttailthis@gmail.com with any questions, concerns, comments. If you want a ghost leg, since me and Ben both lost ours, send it over. We'd love to see it. We'd love to see what a ghost leg win actually looks like. But for myself, for Ben, thank you so much for listening. And if week 1 is any proof,
Commanders Moneyline. Also, Don't Tail This.
Don't Tail This is produced by Al Mannarino and Ben Murchison. Edited by Al Mannarino. Theme song by Lucas Jones. Follow Don't Tail This on Instagram and Twitter at Don't Tail This. We are committed to responsible gaming. Please visit www.rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available. Never bet more than you can afford to lose. And always bet responsibly, which of course means don't tail this.